Hello everyone, welcome to the video. In this video we'll be modeling our types. Alright, so in last video we did a bit of reactivity and we're building an HTML table to have our positions listed. And in this video we're going to actually model what is a position, what is a portfolio, and I believe you'll enjoy the process of me working through the types, making really good types to represent what we're doing and to eliminate any confusion. And basically, yeah, that's basically why we do it, and for the type safety of it. And so there's definitely pros and cons to this, and I talk about that also. I don't know if I talk about it in this episode, but also in the next episode. Because having really, really strong types, yes, it is mitigated with the type inference, but there's still a bit of cost to construct and deconstruct these strong types. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, I believe you'll enjoy this episode. If you're enjoying the content and the StonkWatch series, make sure to leave me a like and a comment. Really helps me out. So without further ado, let's go into it.
And actually, we should probably do the data model first. So here, like I said, we're going to have information in our positions. And so we can go ahead here and do of positions list. And we haven't really defined what a position is going to be, so let's do that. So, and by the way, just a disclaimer, like I'm doing data modeling here, because that'll help me know like, hey, what exactly is a position info, or like at least for now it's going to be a position info. I haven't really done the data modeling. I know what it's going to look like for the UI, so I'm basing it on what the UI needs. And later, once we do like the backend, we will probably do a bit of not necessarily refactoring, but we'll do extract what can be shared with the backend and kind of reevaluate at that point. It's not really important for now. And I'm going to call this position info. So type position info is going to be a record type. It's going to have a symbol. So a symbol is I'm actually going to do a type for that, just to create a hard type, just for it not to be any string. So let's do that. Let's do a type symbol is equal to symbol of string. And so ideally it's going to be very difficult to create symbols, in the sense of I don't want anybody to be able to create a symbol object, because that might create some issues. But in this case, it's not important. We just want to see the string. Okay, so it's going to have a symbol. It's going to have a share price. So price is going to be a share price. Type share price is going to be share price of, it's going to be a decimal, and it's going to be, we're going to have a new measure here that's going to be actually we don't have to do this, so we can just do decimal of and then put share price as a unit of measure. So I'm still thinking about that. Maybe we can delete this and put it there, because the unit of measure kind of gives us the same benefit of correctly identifying what it is. So maybe we don't need a discriminated union for that for now. Subject to change as we go along. So let's do another unit of measure. And let's just call it a price. Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe our unit of measure can be price, but our but our we can do a discriminated union here that neatly documents that this particular price is a price of a share price. Okay. And actually, now I think about it, it's so stock prices don't have the notion of currency because so the stock itself will dictate what the currency is. And so you don't typically, if you have like APL, you don't typically see like, oh, this is the current share price in USD, this is the current share price in CAD. It's normally just the security itself says the prices are in USD. So I'm just trying to think what would be the best way to do this. Because a price isn't really a unit, it would be more a dollar. Yeah, so it would be a dollar. Now let's just do dollar for now. But dollar is a type of currency. Let's just do price. Ah, this is so complicated. To be honest, I prefer price, just because it's not a dollar. That's the point. It's like a score more than anything. So price, decimal, share price. I'm kind of happy with this. Let's go with that. And so it has a price and it has a open quantity, which is going to be a share quantity. So type share quantity is going to be, well, if you really want to push it, we can have quantity as another thing here, and it can be quantity, but I don't have to push it for now. Although I kind of want to, because there might be other types of quantities. Because the thing with quantity is it means it's a positive number. Kind of. It's something you count. So it's not a number, it's a number of things. So it can be 0 to whatever. So yeah, let's just do it for now. But the thing is, the harder you type things, it does carry a degree of boilerplate. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. But with the type inference, it's reduced. So the cost of boilerplate is reduced, but there's still a cost. You just have to construct. So constructing and deconstructing are going to have more boilerplate. That's the kind of the trade-off here. But let's do it for now. So we can actually do uint. Oh, uint. Right, because that'll just remove the possibility of it being negative. So uint, if you don't know, it's an unsigned integer. So an unsigned integer can't be negative. It can only be 0 to whatever. So like, and just to like really, if you don't, maybe if you're really new, so an int is 32 bits of data that represents a number, but so 32 bits or 4 bytes, and signed integers, the most significant bit will, if it's a 1, that basically says that it's a negative number. If it's not a 1, it's a positive number. So that's signed. So that's a signed integer, but an unsigned, the most significant bit does not dictate if it's positive or negative. It's just always going to be a positive number. So that's kind of how it works. So a share quantity. So that's why we put u in for positive integers. Like we don't really need you can't really pass a negative number to uint. Like for example, if I do let x and this is a uint, I can't do -1. It'll tell me this expression was expecting, but if I do u, yeah, so there's going to be doesn't support the operator of that. I'm just going to check if it's the right, if u is I'm pretty sure it's u we have to put here, FSharp. So if you're curious, basically since FSharp is strongly typed, if I just put an int here, it'll automatically interpret as an int. If I do 1.0, it'll automatically interpret as a float. But if I put m, now it'll interpret it as a decimal, right? So this concept exists in other languages. And in FSharp, you have prefixes or suffixes for each of these. So uint was u, so I was right. You have to put u in order for it to interpret as a uint. Or you can also do uint and then pass it an integer. But this will fail. This should fail because it cannot. It'll fail at runtime because uint.parse can fail, right? So uint here can take many things. So you can actually do this. You can actually pass it a string. So it's very unsafe as a method. So if I'm passing a literal, just put the u, and yeah, that'll help us. So if I just put, so that's a uint. So it's good for positive numbers. And I've seen in code bases people like in FSharp do a positive integer, like they want to strongly type it, but it's unnecessary when you can just use the breaded the OG type system. So there it is. So share quantity. So most of this code is going to go to a shared project afterwards, but for now we don't really need to. And lastly, we have the OpenPNL. Yeah. So what is an OpenPNL? An OpenPNL is actually a type of PNL. So PNL, profit and loss, is the representation of either winning or profiting or losing from a current position. It can be open PNL is a PNL of all your open positions, but a daily PNL is a PNL. So yeah, I'll go back to OpenPNL. It's all the open positions since they were opened, right? So since, let's say I bought them a week ago, it's going to be the profit and loss of that day a week ago and today, right? So yeah, that's just one thing to keep in mind. And yeah, there's different types of PNL. Like the day PNL is what did you win or lose today? So that's the difference. So of PNL. And PNL, again, like the share price decimal, can be interpreted as, so a PNL is a type of percentage, we can say. Right, so PNL type PNL is equal to PNL of, and then it would be, so I'm trying to think, since I guess it's a fraction. Yeah, it's a fraction. Yeah, it's a fraction. I'm just trying to decide float or decimal for a percentage point. Yeah, I'm thinking it might be more of a float, just in case, because you can divide a decimal by a decimal, and can it can create a very a fraction that is very small. Let's try decimal, and we can always change it later. To be honest, decimal of percent. So here, our percent is we already defined it. So that's working for us. And to be honest, we can go back to our model because I remember we already started on that model. And this is OpenPNL, DayPNL, so we can actually do this as OpenPNL. Oh, and a PNL can be for a stock, and it can be for a position. So it can be for all your portfolio, or it can be for a given position. Do we need the... Yeah. So we should probably have different data types for this OpenPNL. So we want to discriminate whether the OpenPNL is for a position or if it's for your whole portfolio. So we can have data types here. So portfolio. And to be honest, I'm starting to think the account summary should probably be the portfolio summary, but we can always, yeah, I think portfolio summary is pretty cool. So a portfolio OpenPNL is actually a portfolio OpenPNL of OpenPNL, and we can do this with the day PNL. And I'm starting to think in our table we can probably include the day PNL of each of the positions we have, though that might not be necessary. Maybe it is. Let's do it. Screw it. Screw it. Day PNL of day PNL. And we should define day PNL here. So this is like how I do like very strongly typed domains. And that prevents so many errors. It's kind of like putting like trainer wheels, if you want. Like the compiler is just going to, like, if you're strong, if your types are good enough, the compiler is just going to grab your hand and carry you through this process. So that's kind of the fun of writing F#. And yeah, so I'm going to create a position PNL, open, and it's going to be that, and it's going to be OpenPNL. And I'll do the same thing for, though I can always add it later. I haven't really included it in the original design. Yeah, let's include it. Screw it. Screw it. Let's do it. I'm scope creeping myself here. That's fine. Alright, perfect. That's what we want. That looks amazing. So this is very different from, let's say, Python and, your typical. I'm not sure how people write TypeScript, to be honest. I don't know if they go this like deep. Probably it will vary depending on your developer or your team. But yeah, I like to go. Yeah, and actually here we can do. So what we can do is we can do a portfolio. So what is a portfolio? So a portfolio is portfolio of position info list, and I probably need to define this after I define what a position info is. Oh, this is actually not quite correct. So a portfolio can be thought of as, it should actually be a record type. It should be, you have your positions, which is a position info, and then you have your balances, which is like what's your equity in the market, what's the cash you have available to you, and stuff like that. So that should actually be balances, and balances should be for now we're not going to do anything for it with it. So let's do a type for it, but we're not going to define it for now. It's out of scope for now. I'm just going to reformat here. Alright, so now to get back to where we were, since we did a lot of changes in the model, this is going to change a little bit. So this is fine. OpenPNL, DayPNL is fine. We should probably rename these to be more congruent with what we had. So there should be a portfolio OpenPNL. And this should be a portfolio DayPNL. And this should be a portfolio OpenPNL. And this should be a portfolio DayPNL. Okay. And then the summary info, this is going to change. So basically what I want this to be, or how can I say this? I want in the model, I want to capture what's the current, what we're currently looking at. Are we currently looking at the positions, or are we currently at the balances? But I want my model to be canonical in the sense that I don't want I want it canonical, and I want it to be impossible for it to be in an error state. So let's say I ignore that second thing. If I want to allow it to be in an error state, what I can do is I can just do a current view, let's say, or current summary view. Summary view is actually way better than summary pane or summary info, but anyway. And I can just do you know, a string to tell me whether it's or not. Yeah. So here I could have just done like give me a string or an enum to tell me on what tab I'm on. But the problem with that is even though I could just do this, so even though I could have done this and just like give me an enum for that, I could still, like, if I was malevolent, let's say, I could pass a, so let's say this was here, and let's ignore this for now. We should probably like have a portfolio here, so a portfolio, and this can be of type portfolio. All right. So let's say I could be malevolent and say that here I can pass the balances page, but in reality, oh, this is actually fine. No, this is actually fine. I can do that for now. Yeah, that'll help me because in both cases I want to have my data available, so when I switch page, it's still there. I don't have to refetch it and reconstruct the model. So this is actually fine. I can have a field in the model that just says on what current tab you are on. Right, so that's completely fine. Let's do that. So here, we can actually rename this to be better, and we can call it, so we have, tab is a good word. Okay, tab. So portfolio tab, current portfolio tab. Let's do that. Or this is a portfolio tab. Oh, this is good. This is a good name, Ben. Oh, all right. And we can call this current portfolio tab. Great. And to construct this, so I took a decent break here. I just wanted to reflect on the things we did. So one thing to keep in mind is this is not going to be final. This model is not final. And there's a few reasons why. Firstly, in the positions, the share price. So this is a price that's going to be associated with the security or the stock, right? It has nothing to do. So this is actually the current price. Like we should probably call it current price. And this is, so like position info is not going to be the data type for the actual position, because the position itself, the data is relevant to that is the quantity, the symbol, or the stock, like with security, and the average open price. So basically, when you open a position, let's say you buy 100 shares, you won't buy it at the price that it says, the current price of the market. You're going to buy it at whatever, depending if you did like a limit order, market order, you'll buy it at the price that's available, and each share you won't purchase it at all the same price. Like some you might buy at like $1.1, and some you might buy at like $1.2, or depending on whatever, depending on the volume and what the ask and the bid. And so that's why it's an average price. So you take all the prices you purchase them for and you divide them by the number of shares. So it's a float number. And that's like one of the only relevant numbers of the position. So there's average price and the quantity. And the current price is associated to the stock itself. It's not actually associated to the position itself. So maybe you can document that a little bit. We can say that a security. We can say like stock for now. To be honest, let's just do stock. I don't think we need to go like that deep for now. A stock will have a symbol, and it's going to have a current price for now, and this is going to be a share price. So now these two, we can actually remove them and put stock here, and this will be a stock. And yeah, so it'll have a current price, and we can probably put what did it open for. So like a last or last close, because if I recall correctly, the daily P&L is calculated based on the last close. So and the close price is what price did the last trading day finish at, basically. That's a close. So a close is the end of the trading day, and last close is the last trading day that occurred. So maybe we can do last close price is a share price. And to be honest, we can tighten it up even more and say that, you know, this is a current price. Let's do it for the exercise. We'll know eventually if it's overkill or not. So share current stock price is equal to, and so I say like share price. It's actually, yeah, it is the price of the share, but I prefer the word stock, to be honest. So I'll do stock price. And that should change share quantity, that's fine. Share quantity, that's fine. Stock quantity, that's fine. So this is going to be current stock price of stock price. And then we can do the same thing for this, and this is going to be last close price. It's probably a big name. Yeah, I feel we don't need the word stock here, so I'm just going to remove it. It's going to help us a little bit. So now that we have our stock and we associated a stock to a position info, that's pretty good. Now the other thing is the P&L is going to be a calculation based on the stock and the position info. So what that means is the day P&L, how we calculate that, it's actually irrelevant to the position. So the day P&L is actually only relevant to, oh wait, one sec. All right, so after thinking about it a little bit more, I don't think it makes sense to have day P&L on a position info. A day P&L should only be associated to a portfolio or a stock itself. So I'm going to remove it from here. And so yeah, we have open quantity, OpenPNL. OpenPNL will be a calculation based off of what's the average open price and the share quantity. So if you have, so you have a number of share quantities, and you have the average price at which you purchased those shares. Yeah, the average price at which you purchased those shares, and you have the current stock price. You can calculate what's the OpenPNL. So you don't actually have to put it in the model to get that information. And it's a very visual concern. The P&L, the other thing I thought about is the P&L is it only concerns the UI, right? The data doesn't really care about the percentage. It's only to be, only to have it in the UI, and therefore it should be treated as a kind of like, let's say in the MVVM world, you have model view and you have your view models. It would be like at the responsibility of the view model, because it's not data that you need to do other things with. It's data that you just want to present to the user that's not really relevant in the domain context. And so it makes sense not to have it in the model directly, but to have maybe an observable that, every time the stock price changes or whatever data that's relevant changes, then you can recalculate the P&L. So that's kind of the way I think about it. So we're going to delegate that to the view, to the view logic, and we're going to remove basically everything that's P&L related from the model. We're going to still keep the data types, but we're not going to keep them in a model for now. Okay. So I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to add average open price. So that means it's the average of all these shares. Average share open price. That's really big. That's a really big name. Oh, screw it. I'm just going to remove this for now. So this is going to be an average price. Well, average open price. Because we also have an averaged closed price, and the difference between that is going to be a closed P&L. So closed P&L is a profit and loss of a closed position. Okay, so average open price, and what's that? Let's document that. So average open price is equal to, an average open price is equal to average open price of, it's going to be an average price. And what's an average price type? Average price is equal to average price of, it's going to be, so this is actually not a decimal because you can divide things very like differently, and like you're basically dividing a decimal by something else. Well, I guess it's a decimal. Let's just keep it at a decimal then. I haven't really worked much with decimals, to be honest. I mostly use floats, but I've been introduced to decimals recently. So average price is going to be a decimal of, price. Let's do that. So it is a type of price. It's just not the same thing. Okay, everything works here. Open quantity and average open price. So I think I'm happy with that. Everything else compiles. It's good. Portfolio is good. And in our model, so we're not actually going to have these in our model. These are going to be reflected or calculated based on the data that we have. Yeah, so we can remove both of these. The last one actually doesn't exist. And by the way, since we have the portfolio tab here, these will never contain data. It's just like selected and selected. So I'm going to remove this. You can always add it back later. We don't need it. We can just do toString on this, and this will work fine. So that's great. It's a built-in thing with FSharp. Okay, so let's do the init. So let portfolio is equal to, so what does a portfolio have? It has balances and it has a position. So balances is basically nothing, is equal to undefined. And then so positions for now can be an empty list, obviously. And yeah, it's going to suck to like create one of those big objects. That's the kind of the thing is, it's more painful to create these objects, but once they're created, you're kind of glad you did all that typing. So there's a trade-off. I don't want to just sit here and say, oh, this like the best thing you can do is just create like really strong types and stuff. You know, there is a trade-off at the end of the day. And the winning, like the thing you gain is type safety, and like, so I'm gonna go on the short rant here, I guess. If you have strong types, it's a lot harder to make mistakes, in my opinion. You require, like, a lot of these types remove a bunch of unit tests that you have to write. So that's really great. You still have to write unit tests. Like, people that say that, oh, you know, at Sharp you don't need to write unit tests. Maybe like less small unit tests, but like more like not necessarily more, but you still have to write higher level tests. But there's so many concerns, like I explained with the uint. If you used an int, you'd have to write a test to say, if I use a negative number, then it fails. But here, like, you wouldn't even have the opportunity to set a negative to set a negative number to uint. That's kind of the principle, is that types can remove such a burden on the unit testing. And so that's one thing. Is overall in FSharp or in any language that you have a strong type system like this, you remove a big burden on your testing, and that will give you a massive productivity boost. So that's the first thing, and less headaches. So you'll still have some headaches refactoring, because refactoring is it's kind of difficult anyways. But there's a less boilerplate than, because of the type inference. There's less boilerplates, so your refactoring is actually a much better experience overall. Some things you just pass through to the next person, to the next method, like the model. I'll show you an example. Like here, I'm passing dispatch here. I'm not even using it, so it kind of knows now what it is. But if I change the type of dispatch in this method, it will change it for that one, and I don't have to modify any type annotations to do that. So it really reduces the pain of refactoring, and it does highlight the importance of naming things well. So dispatch, it's like a universal. In the MVU pattern, you know what a dispatch is. You don't have to really document what it is. And so that highlights the importance of choosing great names. This is why I hurdle like so much. Oh, what's a good name for this? I'm not doing this because I'm like I'm not doing this because I'm some like stuck up like whatever. I just need the perfect name. It's just because good names remove the need, or remove some need at least, to add type annotations, and not having as much type annotations removes a big burden on the maintenance of your code base. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I wanted to say with tests and stuff like that, and having strong types. Well, I totally forgot what the other thing I wanted to say is, so I'll let it slide for now. Yeah, so our model is a portfolio in a current portfolio tab. So this is actually fine. This is actually going to be our data. And with the update function, so eventually we're going to need commands, and basically how it's going to get fed is we're going to feed it with the backend. So when we open up the page, and there's many different ways we can do it. We can do some caching as well, but when you're going to open up the page, you're going to ask the backend, hey, what's the info? And we can have like a loading kind of mechanism. I'll show you how to do that as well eventually. And yeah, so I'm just going to keep writing and stop talking for now, or keep talking, but current portfolio tab, we're going to start with the positions. Cool, this compiles. So selected pane change summary info. So we call this a portfolio tab. So model.current portfolio tab, then portfolio tab. Did I not control RR on it? Oh, it was a different field. Yeah, okay. Kind of screwed up there, but whatever. This is not portfolio, it's current portfolio tab. Boom, this compiled. So let's actually do some reformatting here. Summary info.name, I don't actually need this. I can do string summary info, but which is really called portfolio tab. Whoop. I keep thinking the autocomplete is going to help me. I forgot I need to do tab for that. Here I don't need this. So I'm basically just going over making sure we're good. So this is not selected pane, and the portfolio tab. So why does it think I have an observable of portfolio tab? So let's see. Shift F12, model, this is portfolio tab. So basically one of these types here is wrong. So here I just need to check when I'm passing here, model main.portfolio tab. So one of these downstream functions is interpreting my model not how I want it to. So what do I pass to this button here? Whoop. So I pass dispatch balances and is collision selected. Oh, there. Okay, this is the problem. I actually hard coded this, and I shouldn't, or at least it's fine. So where do I pass this? Here, selected pane store. Okay, so this is the problem actually. So my map was good. It's just I needed to. Oh, it doesn't know what it is, so I have to do dot current portfolio tab. Everything should work. Yeah, everything works. Good. So let's just see if it compiles. It compiles. And here. I'll still have these PNLs that I've hard coded. We can change that. We'll have to implement the P&L and a calculation. I'm not sure I want to do it in this video.
Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed that. In the next episode, we'll be building the table with the types we just created. And so that has some interesting lessons also for how to mitigate the boilerplate with these strong types. So hopefully you enjoy that. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave me a like, really helps me out. Commenting also really helps me out for the algorithm. And if you're interested in freelance FSharp software development and consulting, you can contact me at my website down below. So other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in that next video. Peace!